This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so the recording has started. So as I told, yesterday's first workshop, about building careers in embedded systems and IoT. It's a very broad topic. As we saw, the questions were coming in all the directions. People wanted to have various things about, ranging from artificial intelligence to machine learning to which programming language to learn, right? And then how many programming language should I learn, and what is the importance of foundations, right? What not to do certain microcontrollers, like for example Arduino versus PIC. So we discussed a range of topics yesterday. Okay, but today's topic will be relatively focused, because we can't discussing a very broad topic in every workshop. Yesterday's workshop was more to give you an awareness and a high level perspective about how things work in the industry. And very nicely, one of you asked, right, what exactly these people do when they go to the company, right? That's when we covered about various verticals and various roles, and how people do different roles in different verticals, etc. So that was the point from yesterday's discussion. Anyways, I'll share you the recorded video by max by tomorrow. It will reach your mailbox. You can I'll share them via YouTube links. You can play, and if you believe it can be helpful for your friends or your classmates, please feel free to do that. So today's topic is very focused about how to build an excellent resume for an entry-level embedded systems and IoT engineer. Okay? So why this particular session we have organized by looking into the if you look into the various resumes that people write, especially when you're an engineer just out of college, right? I saw many of the students do not know how to write a resume, or rather the approach that they need to take, right? Typically, they end up copying from their friend, and majority of the information look similar, right, to how their friends resume is, right? And how to make it impressive for the employer, right? That's more important thing here. It's not like I feel great about my resume. When I present it to a company, they should feel impressive, right? So that's where this particular workshop we keep doing in terms of how to make it impressive, right? But before I get into that, as always, we'll start with certain question and answers, right? I'll first start with a simple question, right? Why should anyone write a resume, right? Let me post in the chat box. Can I get some responses? What is the need to write a resume? Can I get some responses?
Unmuted.
Okay. So Sashank says it's a representation of what we are. Kiran says short brief of a person to showcase our skills. Bharadwaj says. Tamil Mani says it's telling about what we did. Okay. Raja Ravi Verma says to know about their qualification as well as presentation, to expose the skill. Balaji says, okay, good answers, right? Okay. If you ask me, resume is something which you need to send, before even the person sees you, right? When you go for an interview, these days, most of the interviews also happen online. We don't even get an opportunity to meet somebody face to face, right? So when you are sending a resume to a company, somebody is going to look into the resume, but that person is not even known. For example, they really don't know who is Balaji, who is Raja Ravi Verma, who is Tamil Mani, right? If you send me 3 resumes, I have not seen you guys face to face, right? For me, it's something like a candidate is applying for this particular position. So that's a very brief idea I will have when it comes to resume. This is one very simple point that you need to have. Okay? Second question, let me type in the window, right? How much time do you think a company person will spend in shortlisting a resume? Suppose let us say 10 of you send your resume to me. How much time do you think I'll spend in a particular resume, right, to shortlist a resume? Can you get some guesses? Ravi Kiran says 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Hariharan says 1 minute. Again, Raja Ravi Verma says less than 2 minutes. 30 seconds. Okay. Right. I like the idea what Shashank and Shayad Lutfullah says. It is actually 30 seconds. Okay. not more than 5 minutes. Okay, Bhumika. See, 5 minutes also, guys, Tamil and Bhumika, it's very long time if you see. Okay, for I would say you consider shortlisting resume is something like you are watching an watching an ad in TV. Okay. Okay. You just think about how much time you have, and especially with so much of digital media coming in, advertisement coming through WhatsApp, YouTube, in TV and any kind of video channels that we look at, right? You just look at what is the average duration of an advertisement, right? That advertisement will not go more than, I would say, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Recently, we were in a conversation with Google people about some of the video, behavior of customers. They said, an average, what do you call the attention span of people is 45 seconds these days. Okay. So you look at something 45 seconds and you can quickly come to a conclusion, right? Similarly, if you look at similar other examples, right? If you take, for example, let me use a notepad. I think I'm typing in the chat window. Notepad would be more. So in the in the similar lines, if you look at you are downloading an app. Okay, downloading an app from Android Play Store. Okay. So when you download an app and you click on the icon and then the app opens up, right? You form an opinion in the same way, right? Maximum around 30 seconds, you play around with the app and then you form an opinion to whether to use the app or not, right? Very quickly. And if the app fails to impresses you within that particular 30 seconds or maximum 45 seconds, right? You're not going to use the app. Slowly you will move the app to a screen number 2, and then once the storage space runs out, that will be the first app that you will be installing, right? So why I'm telling this example of an advertisement that we are talking about, or an app, mobile app that we are talking about, is that look at your resume from the recruiter's perspective. Okay, so say for example, a recruiter is going to open the resume, right? Okay, assume you are a recruiter. Okay. Assume you are the recruiting person for a minute, right? And you can be anybody. You can be a technical leader. You can be a manager, right? You can be a HR. Don't bother about that. Assume that you are responsible for the recruitment, right? So when you open a resume of a fresh engineer and assume you are hiring for an embedded engineer position, it could be for a different vertical and different role, which we saw yesterday, right? You are going to form an opinion within 30 seconds, right? Okay. So the information that you are representing, and by the way, the most important part we already discussed it, you are not seeing the person. Okay. For them, for example, Sandhya and Bhumika and Tamil and Syed Lutfullah, everybody looks the same. Okay. Because we really don't know, right? You just send me a profile via email, right? This is a scenario. So the question that goes, $1 million question that we are going to ask is, right? How do I create a positive impression within that 30 seconds? This is the question, right? You are having a very less time, but how am I going to create a positive impression within 30 seconds? That's a game. Imagine you are going to make an advertisement by yourself. You are going to, some of you maybe, I see a lot of these days, students getting interest in short film production, and you're also doing a lot of video editing and all. Assume you are going to create a advertisement about yourself for a 30-second advertisement. How are you going to impress the and you are going to post it in YouTube, let us say, for example. How are you going to make yourself impressive? So this is a game. Okay. Now coming to specifically as a resume, right? Before getting into how to write resume, rather I want to cover certain things about how not to write a resume. Because if you look at majority of the resumes that a fresh engineer prepares today, 90% of the information is not helpful. Okay. So whatever you are writing in the resume, it is not helpful for even if you look at from a technical person or a manager or a HR, it is not helpful. Okay. So that's a sad state in which today's resumes are, because when you wanted to write a resume, you take your friend's resume, quickly modify a few things. For example, your friend has written C, right? So what do? You write C++, right? And one student wrote something like this, right? I saw a resume where C++++. No, programming language itself is not got invented like that, right? Okay. So because you wanted to, you get your friend's resume and he has written a C programming, you want to write C++. Somebody writes C++, you put 4 pluses into, right? So this is the way we build a resume, right? So please don't, let us not take that approach. So let me spend few minutes, because you guys already written resume, right? Let me try to understand from your perspective, okay, before we get into the actual discussions in my workshop, right? What information, okay, you need to mention in the resume. Assuming that you are written a resume already, can I get some answers from you? What information you need to mention in the resume? Some of you gave a one-line answer why you need to write resume, right? Okay, so can I get some responses here about, what is that you need to mention in the resume? Go ahead, type in the windows. Okay, so it says skills, projects. Sorry, keyboard is skills, projects, and then you talk about objective, right? And then you have academics and internship. Very good. Personal info. Okay. Skills project. Anything else, guys? Internship. Okay. Areas of interest. Good. Area of interest. Okay. So this is typically what you mentioned. But if you look at this, let us say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Okay. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So let us say you have this 7 information mentioned, right? Okay. So let us start with one by one, and then let us understand what you do, right? So let us talk about objectives, right? So what do you do? How do you write an objective? Anyways, that's one of the quiz questions today. Okay. Anyways, I'm leaking question in the beginning itself, right? So basically, this objective should say what is that you wanted to achieve, right? Okay. Ram says personal attribute, career overview, right? So what is it you wanted to achieve? So here I see people again copy pasting from Google, right? Copy paste from Google, or taking the information from friend. This is how we write. Okay. So please don't do this. Okay. So what I would say is, the first and foremost important thing is, think for a few minutes. What is it you wanted to become? And write it in a very simple English, maximum 3 lines, about what you wanted to become. For example, I can write my objective like this. Okay, I want to start my career in embedded domain and become a technical expert in your company by serving your customers and being a good team player. Okay. Very simple. Okay, you don't need to complicate. So again, people think I need to write some complex English. Somebody will go and search in dictionary, right, and come up with very complex words. Nothing. You don't need to worry about this. Whatever you wanted to have, right? This is a very simple example of writing a objective. If this is what you want to become, right? So write in a very simple and 2 line or maximum 3 lines about what you want to become an object in terms of your objective, right? So here itself, I see many of you doing a copy paste from Google or taking the information from your friend. Please don't do that. Anyways, I have my slide. I'll cover that. But as always, slides are always secondary. We'll do the discussion and then we'll come to the slides. Okay. So coming to academics, okay, few aspects we need to mention is that we always mention the highest academic information in the top. For example, somebody has done a BTech, right? Mention in the top, or some of you might have done MTech. Mention in the top, higher than that. So this should be the one. And then, for example, if you've done a class 12, okay, class 12, and then class 10. Okay. So here I see, for example, people even mentioning, all the semester marks, BTech semester 1, semester 2, or MTech semester 1, semester 2. They make a huge table. You don't need to do that, right? So maximum, I would say, if you look at, even considering you are an MTech student, right, 4 lines is good enough, right? Okay. This is the example that they would expect. Okay, I'll show the template, because how to represent this information also, because here also I see some of you doing some mistake. Okay, for example, let us say in MTech some student has scored something like this, 69.8%. okay, so they will go and mention, okay, they will go and mention 70%. Okay. So please don't do this. This is a very common mistake. I see many of you doing this. Okay, this is absolutely not okay, because 69.8 is not equal to 70. Okay, so please don't do this. Don't apply any approximation algorithm. Don't apply your own creativity here. Okay, because what will happen is, if you are doing like this, right, what you will think, okay, anyways I am only 0.2 less, right, so I'll make it into 70. Then what a 69% student will think, right? Okay, anyways only 1% less, no, so I'll make it mention as a 70%. Then what will happen, a student who is having 62%, he will also think, okay, anyways 8% less, no, I'll go and mention 70%. Then one student who is having 60%, he may also think only 10% less, no, so I'll go and make it 70%. So this does not make any sense. We are actually, defeating the purpose of mentioning the academic criteria. Okay. So the idea, if you remember, all of you would have gone through various entrance tests when you finished your +2 or your class 12, right? When you say cutoff, so the cutoff sometimes come like this, right? For example, 78.34. Okay, this is the cutoff. Even if you scored 78.31, right? Okay, you are not selected. Okay, you are not meeting the cutoff, right? So that's the way it works. So please don't do this mistake, because what happens is, some student in the event of getting opportunity, even it happens among emergency students also. For example, company will say, 70% and above can apply. In fact, like yesterday we had a lot of discussion about academic criteria, and why do they consider the academic record as one of the important attribute in the shortlisting or the criteria purpose, right? Okay, so when they do that, some student who is having a 69.8%, in order to get an opportunity with a company who is asking for 70%, they may go on mention it as a 70%. Please don't do that. I'm telling you, right, this is all some of the common mistakes that people do that. Okay, one thing. Second part is, if you're a CGPA or if you're a percentage, whatever the CGPA, straight away mention that. For example, if you are having a CGPA of 6.33, okay, don't do any percentage conversion. Yesterday some of you asked it, don't do that. Just mention it as a 6.333 CGPA. That is good enough. Okay, so this is one important lesson. Please, all of you should learn that. Okay. So Shashank says, but how do they convert from CGPA to percentage in cutoff? So generally, as I already clarified, Shashank, yesterday, they don't do much botheration about that. At least the companies who are recruiting from Emergy, right? From that perspective, I can say, I already clarified. Let me write, like, for us, we consider, for example, 6 CGPA is equal to 60%. Even though this is not technically correct, I tell my students, right? Because companies don't have time to, suppose, let us say I send a list of 100 students, in which 80 students are having the data mentioned in the percentage and 20 students mentioned in the CGPA, right? So they don't have time to go and apply a formula and then convert into percentage to CGPA to percentage, right? So they consider this as this, okay, and then they go ahead. Okay. So generally they don't get, rather they are bothered about, okay, more than this, how well you perform, okay, in the interviews. So that's what they're more bothered about, rather than whether you are a 6.3 or 6.4 or even 2014 or an 18 or a 20%. Okay, so this is very important. So please keep in mind and don't do this mistake, right? This is a very important part when it comes to academics, right? So moving on to internship, right? Okay, internship also, let me start telling. So any information from internship onwards, right? Okay, something, if it is significant, then mention it. I'll show some example also, then mention it. Otherwise, no. So what I mean by significant, as I already told you yesterday's workshop, people will write, for example, 1 week of internship at BSNL, okay, or they'll say 3 weeks of internship in some, let us say, some electricity board, right? State electricity board. I don't know whichever state it could be, right? It could be Karnataka Electricity Board, Andhra, or Tamil Nadu Electricity Board, right? So these type of internships, to be very honest, right, this is of no use, because what you've done in 1 week of internship, okay, you'll just go visit and then make some broad study. In fact, some of us, in my past experience, they come and tell me, okay, straight away give me the certificate that I've done a 1 week of internship. I don't need to even come and learn anything, right? So these type of internships are of no use. Just don't need to fill it up just for the sake of it. Okay. Again, I'll talk about the, I think some of you have forgot to mention about things like, for example, I'll talk about this in the next, right? For example, hobbies. Okay. against something like achievements, right, etc. Okay. So if something it is not significant, if you've done some internship and through that internship you learn certain skill, and then that particular skill can be represented in the resume, mention it. Otherwise, don't need. Okay. So what I see, the students have this mentality to just to fill up something for the 2-page or 3-page resume. There is no need. If you're not done something significant, you don't need to mention that. Okay. The same thing comes to hobbies also. For example, often I see people, they get confused between hobby, okay, versus time pass. Okay. There's a huge misconception about hobby versus time pass. Can I get some answers about what is a hobby and what is time pass? Can I get some answers? Or what is the difference between these two? Or you can even say an example of hobby and example of time pass. Go ahead. I want to hear your answers. Okay. Hobby means reading books, Syed says. Okay, Sandhya says watching TV is an example of time pass. Very good, Sandhya. Ram says hobby is photography. Very good, Ram. Good example. Hobbies is used in constructive purpose. Bharatwaj says, for example, playing guitar, sketching. Very nice, Shashank. Okay, like say tinkering. Hobby means interest, right? Okay, very nice. Okay. So hobby means actually, if you see people who have a serious hobby, some of you might have, right? Hobby is something you basically pursue with an interest. Okay, pursue with a special interest. In fact, some of them will be very passionate, and there is an element of passion here. Okay, passion here. Okay. For example, cricket player, etc. Right? Time pass means what? You have a lot of time, so kill the time. For example, some of you will write like this, right? Some examples you already told me. An example. For example, hobby. Example could be, for example, things like, example, playing guitar. This is a hobby, right? Because in order to play guitar, you need to learn, then you need to use various music notes, etc. Because I'm a novice, because I don't know. For example, when I say reading also, rather than writing like reading books, right? So rather I can say reading non-fiction. Okay? And even you can specify business, technology. Okay. So this is the basically the example of reading books, right? Reading non-fiction books is an example. Okay. Similarly, some of the students, as I already told you, right? You will have an example like video editing, making short films, or even for that matter, composing music, etc., etc. This is called hobby, right? So what is a time pass? Time pass is something like, time pass is something like this. People will write like watching TV, and some students write like this, surfing internet. Okay, this is a purely a time pass activity. Okay, if you are, and then people will say reading books. Okay. This is a very generic thing. What books do you read? Okay, be very specific. When you're a book reader, some of you may be a book readers here. Okay, so you be very specific about what you read about the book list, right? Okay. So again, if you don't have any hobby, some of you maybe say, nice, sir, I not had anything serious thing or so-called passionate examples of hobby, right? Okay, please don't mention, remove it. Okay, that's a thumb rule, right? Okay, I can even say any section that we mentioned so far, especially the internship aspect or the hobbies aspect, even I'll talk about achievements in the next thing, right? If you are not having anything significant to put, okay, please don't put just for the sake of filling the page. Okay, that's the message for all of you guys, right? Okay, and don't go and suddenly, oh, sir told it's in workshop some hobby to be put in series. So today onwards, I'll start learning guitar, right? If you want to, I don't mind, but don't need to force yourself. And by the way, based on my experience in dealing with students in immersive, I have a lot of students who are very simple people. They came and told, sir, I don't have anything of this sort. Okay, but whatever, if they do a skill development, right, they just even without mentioning anything in the hobby, they got very good jobs. Okay, please note, they're hiring you for a technical position. They're not hiring you for playing guitar in the company, or reading books for the company's sake, right? They're hiring for a technical position. Anyways, the skill part is the major section that we need to discuss. I'll come to that part. Okay. So hope this hobby section is clear, right? And there is a question here from Vishnu, sir. I did an internship on CSAR for 3 months for final year project. Can I mention it? Yeah, Vishnu, you can mention it. As I told, right, if it's significant and in that particular project you've done some good amount of work, please feel free to mention. Okay. Only thing what I don't want to do this, this 1 week or or 15 days where Chumma did some time pass and came. That is also time pass only if you ask me. In the name of internship, we end up doing time pass, right? Don't do that. Okay, hope that's clear. Okay. So let me move on to the next section, which is nothing but achievement, right? In achievements also, we write similar kind of things. For example, what is not okay? People write something like that. I attended a tech fest in, let us say, ABC Engineering College. Okay. So attended a 3-day workshop, which is very famous, right? On our robotics, line follower robot. Okay. In my college from some XYZ company. Okay. Okay. Or somebody will write achievement as something like, completed 3 NPTEL courses. Okay. So please note, these things are all not achievements. They are not significant. For example, you going and attending a tech fest, it is not a great thing. And I know why you go and attend tech fest in many colleges, right? Okay, guys can understand what I'm talking about. Right. Similarly, attending a 3-day workshop, if you look at this line follow robot, they've been learning, even before British came. If you look at Tipu Sultan's time or Hyder Ali's time, they were building line follow robots. Still, we attend the same workshop, okay, pre-British era workshop, and then we'll put it. Similarly, I have very clear idea how you pass NPTEL courses. Okay. So these things are all not at all significant. If you want to mention something achievement, I'll show you. Just wait for a few more minutes. Some of our students who are done, I've taken some examples from what our immersive students have done. Okay, those things you can mention. Okay, say for example, people mentioned about cricket player, right? I mentioned my district, or I mentioned my state. I represented my state in the cricket tournament, right? Or for example, I'm a chess player and I participated in state level tennis or chess tournament. Right? That could be something achievement, right? So again, if you don't have something very great to mention, no need to worry, no need to take tension. All of a sudden, suddenly don't do something for the sake of it. It's absolutely fine. You leave that section blank. Okay. So that's the idea about mainly about hobbies and internship and achievement section. Okay. I just want to pause and then get some feedback from you. Is it fine, guys? Are we doing okay? Are you getting what I'm trying to convey in the resume workshop? Can I get some responses? Okay, Bhumika. Okay, thanks, Kiran, Ram. All right, yeah, thanks, guys. So let me proceed. Now come to the real core, section, right? Okay, about the resume, which is nothing but, I would say, 2 most important sections are nothing but skills and projects. Okay? These 2 are the most important section in your resume. But unfortunately, how do people end up writing? Suppose let us say skills, right? Okay. So I see people mentioning something like this. Okay, programming languages. Okay. They say C and then they write like this, basic. Okay. Okay. So now what will happen is, now when you say C basic, what are you telling to the interviewer, right? You're telling the interviewer that don't ask me anything beyond the loops, right? When I say C basic, let me just scroll the page up. There is already an interesting response in the window. Jagajeevan says, sir, if you do as you said, then my resume will be empty. If you remove everything, what will be there in the resume, right? Very nice question, Jagajeevan. I will come to you. Okay. So I just want you guys to, exactly understand where you stand. Then it will become easy for us to build things, right? So when I say C basics, what are you indirectly telling? Okay. You are telling to the interviewer, please ask me about Fibonacci odd even number, then printing some triangle. Okay. C basic means what? Basically pointers, structures, etc. These are all like how you mention in your college, out of syllabus. Okay. Don't ask me questions on this. But as I told you yesterday, pointers and structure, these type of aspects is what we call C programming, right? Not writing some Fibonacci series. And if you by heart something, even if you can get an NPTEL certification, but it's of no use, right? But some of you are even super people. Okay, I see people mentioning like this. So for example, operating systems. Okay, people write something like this: Windows. Some of them will even write like Windows XP, Windows ME, Millennium. Okay, Windows 10. Okay, Windows 9, whatever may be the number. Okay, so this is another thing I'm seeing. Very important thing, people write in tools. Can you guess what I have seen people writing in tools? Can you give me some examples? What people will write? I'm writing your resume only, right? What would you mention in tools? Yeah, Bharatwaj gives me the most famous example, right? People will write something like MS Word, MS PPT, right? MS, okay, Excel. Then somebody will even write Notepad. They will even write, for example, Paint. Okay. Okay, imagine guys, okay, these type of tools, okay, PowerPoint, yeah, Ajay says power. This is absolutely whatever the way you are writing, whether you are writing like this, programming language C, Windows, ABCD, these type of things, right? These things are all absolutely of no value for the company. That to imagine they're going to hire you for embedded position. And today, if you will have nephews and niece, right, who are studying in high school, you go and check their computer science book, right? They know much better than you about these things. They can handle these operating systems with much ease. And thanks to this last year's pandemic, still kids are studying via the online classes. They learn so many tools and they learn so many ways to communicate with their friends and all. They're even better than most of us, right? Okay, so this is not okay. But what is that you need to mention? If at all you need to mention in tools, right? This is absolutely no. Okay. So what is that you need to mention when I say tools? I think some of you already given an example here. Okay. For example, you can mention Visual Studio, right? If you've done a coding, Visual Studio. Okay. Or you've done some kind of a Keel ID, right? You can mention that. Or you can mention, for example, you did a particular compiler, so it's a GCC compiler, you can mention, right? These type of things only will qualify for this particular tools. Just mentioning Windows or Notepad and all, it is of no use. Okay, so please pay attention to it. Again, your question may be, sir, I don't have anything to mention. That means say my resume will look empty or not? Yes, possibly yes. That means say what? You need to start building. How to build that? Let me talk about in the next section. But first of all, I'm just showing you guys how you went up, building your resume. Majority of you would have taken this approach to write the resume, right? I'm telling you not to do this. Then it's easy for me to tell how to do the right way. Okay. So let us see, there are some questions. So Vishnu says, sir, people usually learn programming languages, but we are not confident enough to mention them in our resume, right? So exactly, Vishnu, that's the point I'm trying to drive at, right? Yesterday also there was a huge discussion we had, again and again, you guys came in all possible directions and I kept on punching and my team in the end of the workshop, and then they came and told me, sir, you punched the students so badly yesterday, right? Even though, I understand it was a little harsh on some of you. The problem is, we don't spend time and effort to build a necessary depth, right? We learn the language in a very hustle bustle way. We by heart these type of programming languages. Yesterday there was a huge discussion about Python, etc. Right? Okay, we just do this and then we believe we know the C programming or we know Python programming. Okay, so then the question comes is then how do I build the confidence? Very important question that Vishnu is building, right? Sir, I'm mentioning all these things like basic. Okay, it's not that I don't want to think, right? The question is, okay, confidence. That's the reason I'm trying to escape, or I'm trying to tell the interviewer that this is what I know, right? So only you can build a confidence by doing practice. When I say practice, it's about hands-on practice. Not sitting and reading. In fact, in immersive, people come and ask me many times, right? Can you recommend a book to read? I said, don't read any book. Yesterday, when I asked in the workshop about how many subjects you read in engineering, right? Somebody said 50, 60, 40. I said, enough. You read enough books in your engineering, right? Now, idea is to go and do things practically. Okay. So the only thing, Vishnu, to build a confidence is go and do practice. Where I can do a practice, right? One is like we can share you some resources. Unfortunately, as I told, some of our website portion is under construction. I am checking how to share you guys with some materials. Yesterday there were a lot of queries about C programming and microcontroller PIC materials. I try to share that. So definitely we'll share some materials for you to practice. Then other than that, you can also look out the online. Okay, there are a lot of online materials available. Go and solve problems. Don't read. People read programming as if they're reading a paragraph. Don't read that. Even if you read that, go and type a program. Because I see people, you will be very surprised if you say this. In immersive, when I look closely into the people, students have difficulty in typing. Okay, they cannot use keyboard. You know why? They you guys mainly got used the touch screen, where you just drag and drop certain things and work. And many of you have not even spent enough time in keyboard. That's very sad, isn't it? You are going to be engineers and looking forward to have a career in an embedded engineer, which is a more core field which we discussed yesterday, right? But majority of you are finding it very difficult in typing. Why? Things been made easy to me in form of a touch screen. Okay, so the only way is to go take a program. Imagine yesterday I was talking about challenging you guys about writing 100 lines of C program, right? So think about at least typing 25 lines, 30 lines. Even if it is there, copy paste only, just keep a printout next to you, right? Just type in a window and then compile. That itself will give you enough amount of feeling what I'm talking about. And as you practice, as you solve those things, then the confidence will build up. Then slowly what will happen? You will remove this basic and then see, I know C programming. Okay, and any questions that comes in C programming, you will answer it very well. And let me repeat yesterday's point once again. You learn one programming language very well, that's good enough. You don't need to learn 5 programming languages, right? Don't take an easy route, right? When I say this, you need to practice these type of things also. Okay, I think thanks Vishnu. I think Vishnu has been very honest in telling his query here, right? Sir, where is the confidence? Because 90% of the problem starts with confidence. You guys lack the confidence. That's why if you ask me this workshop, indirectly, what am I trying to instill in you guys? One, I'm giving you a ray of hope. Yesterday's discussion was like that, right? There is a career opportunity. There is a companies are hiring. That's one part, right? Today's by doing resume, what are we trying to do? We are indirectly trying to build your confidence up, right? Guys, this is how you've been doing, but if you correct it, your confidence will go up, and your idea, your dream of getting your first job will very well become reality. Anyway, thanks Vishnu. Very nice that you asked me that question, right? And then Vishnu again asks, can we mention tools like MPLab, ID? Yes, that's how you should be mentioning, right? That's what I also showed an example. Okay, yeah, Turbo C++, Hacker Rank, right? Ajay Mohan is telling Hacker Rank. If you have a Hacker Rank, for example, in your achievement section, okay, you got a Hacker Rank. Yes, definitely. These are all no, whatever I'm telling, right? What is yes in achievement? I'll show you anyways, more of them. So you can mention your Hacker Rank score. Okay. Similarly, some of you might have scored or already got qualified in GATE. You can mention that, right? These type of things are, whatever, universally accepted, and people understand that what does it take to get that kind of a rank in a Hacker Rank or GATE, right? Yes, these are all achievements. You can mention that. Okay. So Bharadwaj is saying, should we write tools which we have worked, or on just the tools we have studied, right? Very nice question. Again, goes back to the point that Vishnu is asking, right? Okay. So when I say mentioning, it's about whichever you worked, right? It's not about what you have studied. That way, as I told you yesterday, your main problem is you have studied so much, but you got very less opportunity to practice. Okay. My request to all of you, whether you are going to take as additional course to improve your skills, or what is your decision, that's up to you, absolutely. But what I'm telling is, at least in a very simple manner, every day spend 2 hours, type some programs and compile using an IDE. It could be a Turbo C++, or I would strongly recommend you can even use. There are what do you call tools like Visual Studio Code available, right? Okay, so a lot of such tools or IDEs are available online. You can even take a keel thing and then try that. Okay, you can try all those things and then you will see the difference. So the idea is about doing. Okay, it's enough that you guys have studied in terms of books and materials, and what you call, even watching a video will not help. Make your hands dirty. Start typing, then you will see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the tools part of it. Okay, please don't mention something of this MS Word or Windows, right? Anyways, as I told today, a high school kid knows better than what we are talking about, right? Okay, so that's it. So let me move on to the projects, right? Second most important thing, as I told you yesterday, okay, what is the major issue today? Okay, majority of you, okay, purchase the project. This is a very sad state. Okay, I had a lot of discussion with my students trying to understand what happens in the college, because your professor comes and tells you, ensure you do a project in AIML, AI, ML, or a word like IoT or IEEE, okay, etc. Right? Okay. So these are all. This is what forces you, and you go to a project center and then tell, give me a project. Then the project center fellow will know. Okay, you are which department, which college. He will give a project, right? Okay. So this is a very very unfortunate state, because a finally project is when you really go explore a lot of things and learn on your own. And whatever I mentioned about you, when you do a hands-on coding or hands-on design, even if you're coding in a MATLAB or Python, doesn't matter. That will give a real feel of what you're talking about, what you're building in a hands-on way. But unfortunately, that is not the state, right? Okay. But what I would suggest is, right, even if you've purchased the project, that is fine, absolutely, right? At least start building on projects. So even if it is not a 7 to 8 project, what we do in our courses, at least you can work on 2 to 3 projects, okay, and mention that. Because why I'm telling the importance of projects, right? Projects are the proof that the technology. Okay. Because why that because in the skill set you can even go and mention. Okay, shortly I'll show you, right, how to mention the skill set, right? You can go and mention pretty much every technology that you can think of, right? You can just copy paste even from a best this thing, right? Okay, technology you can mention. But what is the proof that you know that? Okay, that way I can come and claim that I know how to speak Japanese, right? What is the proof? Can I show a recorded Japanese recording? Or if I come and tell I know how to program in Python, what is the proof, right? The proof is projects. So if you ask me, guys, the 6 and 7, that is skills and projects, are the 95% of your resume. Okay, so let me type also. Skills plus projects means 95% in your resume. Okay. So this is the important aspect, okay, where you need to mention. And again, when you talk about projects can come in many forms. One, okay, let me also show. I think Ajay is already popping up a question about that. Let me just scroll up and type it. So these projects can be of many categories. Project categories. So project, when I say, it is not necessary that you need to work in a company or somebody has to give a project to you, etc. For example, there are project category, I'll say academic project, right, which is what you purchase and do it. This is one category all of you will know. And when you've done an internship, if you've done any project, okay, significant project, not chumma, going and visiting the BSNL office and come back, right? That is another category. Third category, okay, what Ajay is asking about, this is something like personal projects. Okay, so that's what I am requesting you to attempt, okay, to take up some projects on a personal level. For example, let me just show you. I've been thinking something for a different domain of late. Okay, let us say, let me just go to the Raspberry Pi website. Okay, you guys know it better. If you go to the Raspberry Pi, if you go here, okay. If you go here, right, there are a lot of these, look at this, right? You have a lot of these kind of resources available. Okay, a lot of guided coding projects are there. If you go here, okay, look at this, right? Tons of projects available. It is even okay that you take any of these projects, okay, and then do it on your own. Okay, it's okay. Even this may be very very simple. Even a school kid can do. I would show you another website. Some of you might have been aware. This may be even for school kids. So if you go to this particular website, which is one of my favorite ones. I don't know how many of you have seen this website. It's called hackster.io. If you go to this, right, this is where they have an amazing set of projects. Let us say, let me just click here. Look at this. You name anything, they have a project here. Okay? And let me just tell your own Internet of Things. Let me click here. So tons of projects are. Say for example, video, Windows Remote Arduino, right? Something like that. So our Arduino based projects are there, right? Lot of projects are there. If you go to go here, even though I asked you to avoid what do you call Arduino, okay, like this, lot of websites are there. You can go study this project, Okay, don't copy the source code. Try it on your own and come back and mention, in your personal projects. It's absolutely fine. Okay, good to see. Priyanka says I have seen it and used it, so use it too. Okay, Mr. Tamil, I'll give you pick projects, sir. Give me some time. Okay, yesterday I already mentioned. Okay, I'll share you some of the pick projects also. Okay, he's been very curious about pick project from yesterday. As I told, I couldn't work on it yesterday second half. I'll send it. I'll ensure all the materials reaches you. Okay, so this is the idea. So you can keep on working on these type of projects, right, and keep on adding into your resume. And believe me, when you work on this project, naturally you will be having something to add in your skill set. Okay, that way you can keep on building that. Okay, it is not necessary that often what we believe, right, when you talk about this, right, when you talk about this skill set or achievements, right, we always believe, okay, this is another myth people have, right, certifications are great. This is another myth that people carry, right? When I say I got a certificate from BSNL, well, that's amazing. Like I have a certificate, somebody signed it, put a seal on it. That's something very important for me, right? So it's not important. Okay, that way, as I told you, right, your NPTEL courses, all of you can come and show me, but I know what happens behind the scenes, right? Okay, so don't bother about certifications. In fact, I would say if you work on at least, let us say, 3 projects. Let me, for example, I told an example of Hackster. You work on 3 projects and show the project. I'll show you how to represent in the resume, right? And then go when the interviewer asks you, right? For example, what do you mean by this personal project? You can tell, sir, I had this lot of free time. I studied, I went to this Hackster, I went to this particular ABC website or Raspberry Pi website. You go and I just look out for it. I studied the project, I implemented on my own. Okay, in fact, he will be very appreciative of you, right? Rather than keep on thinking that your academic project, what you got in your college, will help you get a job. It will not. Okay? And its majority of them are done with this type of pressure from the college, right? In fact, in a lighter note, okay, long time back, I was having a conversation with my student. He said, I asked him, why do you basically purchase a project? What do your professors scold you? Okay. His answer was very funny. He said, sir, my professor only told you which shop to buy the project. Okay. So in fact, nothing against the professors at colleges, don't get me like that, but I'm telling you, this is what happens. Okay. So, if you can work on this type of projects, some of the website I shared you, and I'll also try to send you guys some, materials, in the email. So you can try out those things. So please note, these are very, very important, aspect of it, right? So let us see. There are some questions here. Let me just check. Yeah, Ajay, I hope that personal project part is clarified. So then Vishnu asked a question. So, sir, you said Linux is a vast area to learn. Consider one have learned commands, networking, Linux, but still left a lot in Linux. How do I mention the skill? Just mentioning Linux is not correct. That's correct, Vishnu, because Linux is very vast. Okay, you need to categorize Linux into multiple buckets. Just give me a few minutes. I'll show you our template, our immersive template, where we bifurcate the Linux skills into 3 different buckets. You will get an idea on it. Very nice question, because Linux, as I told you, even the course which we teach, the Linux shell scripting, Linux internals and embedded Linux put together, as I already told you, hardly 5% of Linux. So vast, right? And again, don't get into generic thing like I'll mention, like C, C++, Linux, right? One word, right? In Linux means if you mention specifically, it will be helpful for the interviewer also. Okay. So I'll come back to your question, Vishnu. Give me some time. Okay. So Lakshman says, sir, can you place first prize in technical festival? Yes, Lakshman, you can do that. Okay. If you've done something significantly, that's what I mean, right? One is attending the tech fest. Okay. Attending the tech fest is not okay. But I won a prize, right? Okay. I won a prize in something. For example, some of our students have won prizes in music competition or yoga competition. Some of them were district level cricket players, right? Those things you can mention in your, yes, in the thing, right? And if you don't have anything, no need to feel worried. I'm sure many of you will be thinking, what sir you are telling? I don't have anything what you are telling, right? No problem, guys. Okay. And I see a lot of them are getting jobs without any of these so-called, extracurricular activities. You don't feel sad. You don't feel what you call low because of these things. Okay, all the company is looking for is skill and projects. If you can build on it, you can make it. Okay? And I have tons of examples to showcase that. And very nicely, you need to demonstrate your confidence in the interview, then things will fall in place. Okay, so let me just move on. Can one mention the skill in the rating between 1 and 10? Vishnu is asking. So Vishnu, I don't recommend that because that is your assessment, between 1 and 10. But in case in the interview, if they ask you how do you rate, you can just moderately tell about 6 or 7. Don't say I'm 9.5 in C. Okay, then the interviewer might dig you in that. So I don't think you need to mention that. Just keep it in a very generic fashion. I'll show you the template. You'll get a better idea. Okay. So Bhumika says, sir, I developed a website. Can I mention that in project session? Yes, Bhumika, you can. Any skill, even if it is not related to embedded, but you have worked on it. For example, even when you're building a website, I'm sure you would have learned things like HTML, CSS, or some element of JavaScript. I'm sure, right? So that also you can mention. Anything you technically built it, you can mention it. Okay, no problem. Okay. So Jagajivan asks, my friend posts every week he's completed some course in LinkedIn. Did this help to get a job? No, Jagajivan, definitely not. Okay, this is again goes back to my point of the certifications are great. Okay, nowadays you have a lot of these mediums, right? What are the mediums? You pay 440 rupees, you get a wonderful certificate from Udemy, right? And Udemy, what you can do? Next, you can play the video. In one day, you can get the certificate. Same thing, you can get a LinkedIn certification, and some of them go and get NPTEL certification, right? These things, I would say no. Okay, or even if you do this, I am fine. Yeah, as long as you, let us say somebody does a, let us say, C programming course, or even for that matter, a JavaScript course. Okay, somebody has done a JavaScript course in, let us say, a Udemy, right? Okay, very nice courses are available, right? Or even in your NPTEL, you done a, let us say, microcontroller course, okay, an MC course. This is still I'm okay as long as you come back and pick up a personal project, some of the website I shown, and you implement it. Then I am absolutely fine. Okay. But for chumma, for adding, certification and then coming back and building. And another myth what people have is connecting with famous people in LinkedIn. This is another disease, I would say. I would even term this as disease. Okay. Chumma go and add a CEO of a company to your LinkedIn. Okay. And then keep on posting that I got this. See, you are not doing a marketing job here. Okay. We need to showcase our technical capabilities, right? Okay. So please don't get into all this business. You're wasting your time here. Okay. By doing all these things. Okay. Rather, I would say if your time goes in, at least as I told you, right? You imagine 3 projects. Let me give you a simple challenge to you guys. 3 projects. Each project, let us say 3 weeks you take. Okay. So you spend 9 weeks, right? 9 weeks means what? Roughly about 2.5 months. Okay. Either if you add, right, 9 weeks, let us say, even if you take more time, let us say 3 months you time. You only do this, and I'm sure that will make a significant difference for you. You don't need a great, what do you call, great hobby or amazing, what do you call, achievement, etc. If you do this, I'm pretty sure it will make a lot of difference. It will boost up your skill set naturally. It will boost up your confidence naturally. You'll remove all this nonsensical stuff from your website. You'll have much more things to showcase. And when you present your resume to any company, they will be surprised, right? They'll see, look at this, a guy who is just out of college, he's taken so much of self-initiative, gone into this website like Hackster or Raspberry Pi, he's learned on his own and did this project, right? They'll be very much appreciative of that. In fact, recently, other domains, for example, I don't know how many of you, just for another reference, I'll say, there is this particular website called Kaggle, similar to our embedded site. For the machine learning people, right? This anyways owned by Google. They give an open problem statement here. Okay, they share the data sets, everything. You can take it and then solve the problem and post the answer here is. You know what? Just by building a good profile in Kaggle, people got an amazing jobs. They get even hired by big companies like Google and Flipkart just because they demonstrated their, skill set or capability in Kaggle. Anyways, it's not for our domain. It's more for a machine learning type of a domain. I'm just telling an example, right? Similarly, as I told, Hackster or this type of website has got amazing set of projects. Okay. So another thing, Mahesh is asking, sir, how many projects can I mention in the max? I have done many personal projects. Mahesh, you mention as many projects as possible. I don't mind even if you are going and telling, I built 10 projects. Okay. Some of my students have built 15 projects. Okay. I'm absolutely fine. In fact, I'm more happy that you've done some personal project. The more projects that you mention, the better it is. I'm very happy that if you're mentioning projects, then coming and telling me that, sir, I know Notepad, I know, MS Word and MS Excel. Absolutely not of use, right? Okay. If you have more projects you've done using hobbies and you studied electronics for your magazine and tried something on your own, you went to a hackathon, did something, please feel free to mention all of them. This is the real value. As I told, right, simple equation. Your skills and projects should be your 95% of your resume. Okay. So then Tamil is asking, what was your first project? Okay, so going back to my college days, Tamil, we built something called wireless transport layer security. It's called WTLS. Okay, it was called. We did in Linux. We built a socket programming, a client server programming using Linux environment. Okay, we implemented a security protocol and we did on our own. By the time we finished, it was close to 2,000 lines of code. When we finished my engineering, we already wrote a 2,000 lines of programming. I'm talking about my college project, right? Okay, I hope you're referring to that. Then there is Trishali asks, sir, can I place academic excellent award in achievement? Yes, Trishali, you can do this if you're a topper, if you got for example, you stood first in your class in your district, or you got a merit scholarship from somebody, definitely you can mention that, no problem. Okay. So Danush is asking, sir, is your course contain ARTAS? Okay, so if you talk from a course perspective, Danush, we don't teach ARTAS, right? When I say we don't teach, as I already told you yesterday, okay, our course is centered around Linux. Okay, so, and some of you will know Linux is not an RTOS. Okay, because for RTOS there are some other operating systems are available. For example, the Amazon's I forgot the name. Okay, so those type of things are more suitable for RTOS. So what we do, we in our course we teach the Linux at 3 levels. I'll come to that other question Vishnu has asked, right? 3 levels of Linux we learn, and then when it comes to RTAS, we mainly teach the RTAS concepts, only that at theoretical level, so that you can understand what is the difference between a non-RTAS like Linux versus an RTOS, right? Okay, so that's a kind of a exposure that we give, because our whole platform is Linux, so we cannot get into RTAS, right? Okay. So then Bharatwaj asks, what are all the platforms where we develop projects in embedded systems and IoT? So Bharatwaj is again a very interesting question, because when I talk about IoT, yesterday in the career building also I have presented, free RTAS, right, Bharatwaj, you are right. So basically you have a lot of platforms available, especially when you talk about IoT. Yesterday I showed you that IoT career, this thing, right? Multiple pieces available. So a lot of platforms available. For example, Amazon has got their own platform. Then you have IBM has got their own platform, right? Intel has got their own platform. Every major company, if you look at, they have their own platform. Okay, so I don't think you need to be, and even of course our friends from open source, right? Okay, where they have their own platform, etc. Right? So I would say you can pick up any one or two. For example, in our IoT course, we teach an Amazon AWS, basically their IoT platform, and I guess in the open source we take up the Node-RED or something like that, which we teach. Okay. So take one or two, that is good enough. Okay, you don't need to explore again all the platforms. One or two platforms you can take and integrate, as I told you, right? Program the embedded systems, your hardware and your device and the gateway, and then connect it to these platforms, right? Any one or two should be good enough for you. And for a developer license, I think it's free. You don't need to pay anything. Just register, and for a developer usage, they don't charge anything. So that way you can explore these platforms as well. Okay. All right, so free order. So in achievement, shall I put campus ambassador or any event organizing volunteer? Balaji, yes, Balaji, you can do this, right? Okay, so anything that you've done at that level, you can mention. Okay. So Gautam is asking, sir, I have 4 years of gap after my post graduation in embedded system. Now my interest lie in embedded systems. I've taken up the course. How good the opportunities it will be now for me? See, Gautam. Okay, yesterday, let me answer one more aspect to this, right? Yesterday, many people asked me about my academics. Okay, academics, why do companies consider the percentage, right? A percentage, etc. Right? So, what does this particular percentage shows, right? Especially when you are compare your percentage in, let us say, class 10. Okay, why do they care? Okay. Class 12, then your engineering. Okay. Why do companies even bother about that? See, one reason why they bother about that, yesterday I forgot to mention this point. Basically, this talks about your consistency. Okay. In your life, at the age of 15, you attempted class 12, right? At the age of 17, you attempted class 12, right? And then 4 years you've done your engineering. So if you look at the last what do you call 15 to 21, about 6 to 7 years, how consistent you were. So that was the message that they're trying to derive. One thing, okay. But in case some of you are having a problem, for example, I have a 4 years of gap, right? Okay. So then there is a possibility that you might have lost interest in the way engineering is being taught. As many of you have this typical Three Idiots movie story where I was forced into engineering. Yeah, anyways, that's a different topic. We'll talk about it sometime, right? So what I would suggest is if you're having a very keen interest in if you are not able to take this particular route, this is what you call not so smooth for me. What you need to do, build a skill set, as I already told, on project, okay, and then showcase in your resume. Then tomorrow an interviewer comes and asks, right, Gautam, why there was this 4 years gap, right? Then you can tell a honest answer, right? This was the problem I faced. Don't tell personal problem, this, that, and people try to sugarcoat and tell all sort of horror stories, right? Don't do that, right? Tell that I was not interested, I was not keen, I was not so consistent. Yes, I admit I'm not so great here. For example, I'm telling you, I don't know your complete story. I'm telling an example, right? But sir, okay, I know that. Then I realized my challenge. Then I realized where I lack. Then I came back and built this particular skill set and project. Then what is the message you're trying to give to the interviewer? The interviewer knows, right? Okay, this guy had some limitation or challenge, but what he or she has done, they worked over it, right? Because not everybody is born with all the skill set and the capabilities, right? But what do you realize, right? You have basically worked on it and then you just came through it, right? That's what it shows. If you demonstrate, in fact, people come to our place, right? Yesterday I was talking about year of password. So I have recently students coming from 2014, 2016, 2018. Many people come and tell me, sir, compared to 2020 batch, how is my placement opportunities, etc., etc. I tell them it's okay. Okay, in this last 6 years or 7 years, you've done teaching job, or you're a marketing salesperson, or you're working in an application domain, you want to get into whatever you've done, right? Let it be, no problem. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm not asking you to fake anything, right? Rather, only way you can overcome is showcase your skills and projects. Then the interviewer will get interest. And I'm saying this with a lot of conviction, because these type of students come with this year gap. They achieve placements by working on this. That's the only solution. Okay. Hope that is clear, Gautam. Let me move on. Mahesh is asking how to mention projects in resume, just with the name, with title, description. How many pages of resume is good for pressure? Nice question, Mahesh. Similar to other question, just give me some time. I'll show you a specific template or a way in which you can represent the project nicely. Okay, give me a few time, some time. Then Ajay is telling, sir, if you work on hacker rank maximum 10, then that's my hobby or time pass. Can you mention it as a hobby? Yes, this is a hobby, Ajay. Okay, this is not definitely not a time pass. You can definitely mention that you solve so many problems, and as I told you, the Kaggle, right? People spend so much time and they even gain badges. They gain some, record in the Kaggle, and then they show in the data science domain, right? Similarly, you can do it in HackerRank and showcase. The company will be appreciating you only. Okay. So Anil is saying, I'm not too good in programming, but I understand logic well, but I'm unable to write or compile a program. How can I improve my skill? As I told Anil, go and start writing. Okay. So you're telling, sir, how do I learn swimming? I'm telling, get into the water. Okay. Take any existing code which is available open in internet, start typing. Okay. Then only you will, then automatically you start realizing. Okay. Just get hands on, things will automatically will be taken care of. Okay. If you're good in logic, you make your hands dirty. Okay. That's the only solution. Okay. Tamil is asking, sir, is Raspberry Pi is embedded IoT side? I'm interested in embedded core side, which is project and tool. I want to choose. See, it doesn't matter, Tamil. Okay, Raspberry Pi or any platform, even I mentioned about these type of tools, right? Okay, it is not like they're core or non-core, right? You can pick up anything, even in the projects that are mentioned. If you do that, there is always a learning, right? There is always a technical learning, which is what important. Okay, so you can go to any of these platforms and do the project. Is going to be helpful only. Okay, all right. I hope good number of questions keep coming. Okay. So let me come to the last couple of things and quickly. Anyways, if you ask me, guys, this is my workshop. Okay, making you speak and clarifying you. Then as you saw yesterday, right? Running slide can happen faster. That's not an issue at all. Okay. Trishali is asking some question. Give me some time, Trishali. Anyways, keep typing questions. I'll come back. Okay. Anyways, I'll finish the last two sections. Then come to the personal info. Okay. I really don't understand why people write almost one whole page about the personal info. For example, people will write information like, what do you say? They mention, father's name, you know, then they mention father's occupation, okay, then mother's name, then mother's occupation. And people have so much of interest, they want to give all the information. For example, passport number, then Aadhaar number, then license, driving license number, then ration card number, then voter ID number, okay, neighbor's phone number. Okay, then they will even say, okay, then people even write gender. Then people even write things like, for example, temporary address, permanent address. Then they will write blood group. Okay. For God's sake, please don't write this. Okay. This is strictly no. Okay. Okay. Absolutely not required. What company require is, I'll tell you what is the only two information required. Okay. Your email ID and phone number. This is the only two information required by the company, because this information is important for a company. Okay, I'm not telling this information they don't need, but when do they need? Once you get selected in a particular company, they will give you something called employment form. Okay. In fact, these days, this particular link also, this also has gone online. They'll give you a link. When you go there, you can fill all this information there. Okay. Just for the sake of it, you don't need to, write all these things. Okay. So I would recommend, don't get into this. Only mention this. This is good enough. And other problem is like mention only one phone number. This is again problem. Okay, people write Geo number, Airtel number, Vodafone number, 3 phone number, right? Give one phone number which works, right? And then have a good email ID where you can reach. Okay. So this is the part about the personal info, right? Finally, give me a minute. Let me take some water. So similarly, area of interest when you write, okay, write certain college subjects which are related to embedded systems. For example, you can mention digital electronics. Yesterday, some of you asked me this question, right? You can mention, like, say, microcontroller programming or microprocessor programming. Okay. Mention probably 2 to 3 subjects which are related to embedded systems. You can even mention, for example, IC design, okay, something like this, right? That should be your area of interest. Okay. So this is the guys, if you look at, right, just going back to summarize this particular section, which is, according to me, the major and the most important section is about, you are going to make an impression within 30 seconds. You are going to sell your advertisement. You are going to sell your brand message to the companies. But if you look at 90% of the information what you are writing today, it is not helpful to the recruiter, right? And what is important to them? Of course, these objectives, academics are important. If you have done internship, which is significant, like internship, hobbies, or even achievement, it's great. But don't write for the sake of it. The most important and the only two sections are the skills and the projects. And I also given you some pointers about how to build a project. Okay. And then finally, no need to mention any of these personal info. Mention your email ID and phone number, right? And finally, your area of interest. Okay. So this is how you should be building. So rather than telling you what to fill, I'm telling you what not to fill. Okay. So let me see. There are a couple of questions here. We'll say, Trishali says, sir, I've done small projects based on Arduino. Can you mention a personal project? Okay. So any project, Trishali, if you have done, you're done on your own and you have a learning there. And when they ask you a question, you can mention that. Okay. No, nothing wrong. You can mention. Okay. So Mahesh is telling, sir, I have undertaken many academic projects for others. What will that count as an achievement? I don't understand, Mahesh, what you're telling. So are you referring where you helped your friends to complete their academic project? Anything it's not a matter undertaken, but what you have done when you say undertaken, right? If you have implemented that particular thing, then it is important. Okay. So Lakshman says, can I read date of birth and nationality in personal? No need, Lakshman. Everybody knows you are an Indian. Okay. Date of birth. Okay. So they'll ask you later. See, for example, similarly, date of birth, nationality. Okay. No need. Okay. You only leave it with this. All this information, as I'm telling you, much more than that. In fact, if you look at some of the big companies, this employment form will go to about 4 to 5 pages. They ask you a lot of information. That time you can, that happens when, when you clear the technical round, when you clear the HR round, they're about to make you an offer, right? That time, they will ask you all this information. That time you can mention. No need to tell it in your resume. Okay? See, this type of information, if you see, this was valid a few years back when you're applying a job in 1970s or 80s, right? If you go and ask your father and mother when they're applying for the job, right? Then these things matter. But today's world, absolutely no relevance. Can you show the skill and projects? Only those two questions valid today. Okay. So Anil is asking, sir, matriculation and senior secondary details are necessary or not? It is necessary, Anil. Any academic record you need to show in the resume, right? And some of you might have done diploma after your 10th standard, and then again you got into secondary engineering, whatever may be, whatever your academic you have done. Basically, the idea is to check your consistency in your academia. That's why they ask. So don't hide any information, especially when it comes to academics. Don't hide. Okay. Okay, and then in personal info, 2 phone numbers are mandatory. No, Ajay, 1 phone number is enough. Okay, let me repeat. When you talk about phone number, only 1. Okay, which is signal is available and you are reachable, because it becomes a very big nuisance these days. I'll tell you. Okay, people have multiple SIM number. One Airtel SIM, yeah, Airtel SIM. When the Geo came, give it for free. You got Geo number, and you keep your incoming as Geo, outgoing as Airtel. Yo, this becomes a big disco dance for me. Okay. Okay, I don't want to say whichever signal works in your area, you have that one SIM where your incoming outgoing works, then that's good enough. Okay, because people have this bad habit. Sir, incoming I'll use this SIM, outgoing I use that SIM, right? It becomes very confusing for the company also. Keep it very simple. Okay. Manoj is telling, please send IoT curriculum. Manoj, I guess my team member is here. Smita, are you there? We'll try to ask her to send. Okay. Shashank is asking. Okay. Declaration. I forgot that. Okay. I do hereby declare the above information is necessary in the last. Okay. And people even put their professor or some people's references. Okay. Okay. These 2 sections are no. Okay. Somebody even sign using their blood here. Okay. Whatever I mentioned is this thing, right? No need for any, you give your professor or your BSNL uncle's name and number. See, again, guys, if they want references, they'll ask you in the employment form. That time you can give. Okay. These are all, as I'm telling you, somebody told this 1970s, told that this is how a resume should be. And the past 35 years, we are using the same format. Okay. Okay. No need to put any of these things. Okay. I'll show you our template, then you will be able to relate it better. Okay. Bharataj is asking, sir, which are the important control and process that will be better to learn and work on? As I told you yesterday, Bharataj, pick is something which you can definitely consider, because rather than Arduino, it helps you to explore the low-level, hardware and data sheets and the peripherals, etc. I would recommend pick, or even you can, consider ARM also. Okay? I don't have much idea about ARM, but pick is something which we teach, so we recommend that. Okay? Yeah, at the end of resume, right? Okay, yeah, no, not like our signature. Yeah, signature is also not required. Okay, people even say signature. Okay, okay, no. Okay, that's what it is. So, can I place? Lakshman is asking, can I place the gap between education degree and PG? Yes, Lakshman. Say, I'll talk about it shortly. Okay. So, if there is any gap in your academia, okay, I'll show in the template. Let us say, for example, in your engineering, so let's say I'll say something like this, right? Your BTech. Okay. Suppose you've done something like this, right? 2014 to 2018. Okay. Then you are done your MTech, let us say, for example, 2019 and 2021, for example, right? Okay, anything, which means to say what between and BTech and MTech, there is an year gap. Okay, my idea is, okay, don't hide. This is not okay to hide. In fact, I strongly tell my students, like how I told you about the percentage, when you talk about the, where was that? I think it was somewhere, right? 69%, whatever. Absolutely, you are mentioning the information. Similarly, don't hide any information. Let it be there. And if the interviewer asks why there is a gap, I think some other person also asked about the gap. You be honest. You tell, I prepared for GATE, I did not get selected. I tried for a job, jobs are not coming through, right? Or I did some other job to keep myself, occupied in that 1 year. That's also fine. Okay. So, but don't hide. People often have this idea of hiding, right? Means not mentioning the year of passing. It's not okay. Please ensure you mention the beginning year, end year, or even if let us say you had some supplementary papers and you did not clear the BTech, right? You did a 5-year BTech. You started in 2014, but your certificate says you are a 2019. Let it be there. If the interviewer asks why 5 years, you can tell clearly. Because I had a supplementary paper and it. Okay. In fact, if you are more transparent, more open, the interviewer will like you. Okay, often we try to hide, or similarly, many people, I don't know if people may have opinions on it when you talk about the projects, right? Many of you will come and do a fake experience. Okay, many people even come and ask, right? Fake projects, fake work experience, and then fake projects. Okay. And then people may come and tell, what, this big company, they have this particular mode where 1 lakh rupiah de do, they'll give you a back-end job, they will put you into the so-called interview, they will select you. There's a bribe that is going on and all. Okay. I don't know to comment on all those things, but as far as if you ask me, and from Emergy's perspective, we tell students strictly no to fake experience or fake projects. Okay. I'm okay if you don't put also, but whatever you put, let us be 100% honest. Okay, don't get into some companies giving me some this in order to hide my year gap. They're giving me some experience certificate. I'll use it, right? You will get caught, because companies are getting stricter and stricter when it comes to background verification check. And many people lost their job later. For example, they work for 3 years, then they leave the job and go to another company, and that second company does a background verification check, and then this company, for example, which gave you the fake work experience, the company doesn't even exist, right? You get caught and you get fired. Please note, these issues, company take it very, very seriously. Okay? So don't get into this. Okay? Try to work in the similar to the academic gap. Don't get into the shortcuts. Okay? Good question, Lakshman. Okay? I said strength and weaknesses are necessary mentioned in resume. Yes, Pranaya, you can. I'll also show you. That's another field which I missed out. If you want, you can do that. Not mandatory. Okay, you can do that. So Tamil says, so data sheet means Tamil. If you are still asking, just go and do Google. What do you mean by microcontroller data sheet? You will get an answer. Okay. So Bharatwaj is asking, sir, just out of curiosity, can data science be integrated with embedded systems? Yes, Bharatwaj. Because especially when you talk about embedded systems, when you talk about IoT, it's yesterday I showed you that 5 pieces of IoT solution. So definitely embedded systems and data science are getting integrated. Okay. And for example, a simple use case I'll tell you, the video surveillance, right? The automated parking system, right? Where things like, for example, an image processing, an embedded system, and then a backend network, and then a data science solution which integrates, and then it can even predict, like, suppose you are parking in the same place, and which customer is parking in the different place, which customer is parking properly, etc., etc., right? So the technology is getting the earlier, if you see, when we were passing out, right, in 2001, people used to have this particular notion, okay, of something like system programmer versus application programmer. This was the terminology when I passed out we used to use. So now if you ask me, you guys will say system programmer is a core guy and an application programmer means he is an IT guy, right? Okay. So as technologies like, for example, IoT is coming into picture, right? These terminologies will slowly go, right? Where an embedded guy should know about data science, and the data science guy should have some idea about, what do you call embedded system. It's getting slowly merged. The border is slowly getting, blur, day by day. Okay. Good question, Bharatwaj. Okay. Can I mention apprenticeship? Okay. Yes, Mahesh, you can mention. If you've done a good number of projects in that, you can mention, right? Interpersonal skills, not major, Shashank. Yeah, if you have something, if you are good in writing, if you're good in speaking, you've done some public speaking, or you are a good writer, you contributed some good blogs or articles, you can do that. Otherwise, no need. Okay. All right, chaps. I think it's a long set of questions. I think we'll come to the major portions. Did you see? I didn't even open my slide yet. Okay. And thanks for asking so many questions. How are we doing? Are you getting an idea of how not to write a resume? Can I get some responses so that I can, or can I proceed with the slide now? Don't worry about slide. We can run faster. Yeah, because my idea is not to run slide. Yesterday also we did the same. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Hariharan, Bhumika, Shashank. All right. Okay. Okay. Tamil. Okay. So let me get into the slide now. As I told, no need to worry much about slide. We will run faster. For me, the notepad is important, right? Okay. So we saw basically how not to write a resume. Okay. And then your resume is your brand. I'll talk about it few points. Okay. And then I will walk you through the template, an emergency template where whatever some of the things and some of the questions which when you ask, right? Sir, how do I mention my project? How do I represent my project, right? Some questions will answer that. Some templates, and I'll not share the link because, sorry, as I told, the link is down. I'll send it through some other place, right? Anyways, Q&A is not separate. We keep doing that. And by the way, there's a quiz. Okay, don't forget that. Okay, I'll run the quiz. So we saw, if you ask me, it's almost 12:30. 1.5 hours we spent about how not to write a resume. Okay, a simple bullet question of not to write a resume. I hope you have an idea. So let me repeat: your projects and skill is equal to 95% of your resume. Just keep this simple equation in your mind. Okay. Any other thing, or in yesterday's example, I mentioned about cake and cream, right? Your cake is 95% what I talked about projects and skills. Then you, on top of it, you put me pineapple cream or strawberry cream by having some what you call academic achievements and having some extracurricular activity. That is always great. But this project and skills are the bottom line. Okay. So what I wanted to eventually send a message, right? I'm putting some logos here, right? For example, Flipkart. Okay. What comes to your mind when I say Flipkart? Can I get some answers? Rather, I'll show you one by one, but I'll get some. What comes to your mind when I say the word Flipkart? Purchase, shopping site. Okay. Only that. Okay. So what comes to your mind when I say Maggie? Maggie. Can I get some answer? Okay. Tamil says delivery. Okay. 2 minutes. Mahesh says very nice. Okay. Tasty. Okay. Hostel days, right? Some of you, I mean, a lifeline for many of us, instant. Yeah, very nice, right? Okay. Similarly, when you say the word Tata, what comes to your mind? Steels, very nice. Okay. Then motors, communication, Ratan Tata, nice. So when I say Xerox, what comes to your mind? Okay. You guys will be able to give me better answers, I guess, here. Photocopy, okay. Company name, engineering. Bharatwaj says, if you say, if photocopies were not there, I'm sure none of us would have completed engineering. Study material, very nice, Hariharan, right? Last minute you go and take the photocopy, and then, some of them even say in workshops, micro Xerox, right? I don't know, some of you will. So what I'm trying to say is that, you give me many answers, right? If some of the examples that I'm putting here is, right, if something comes to your mind when I say these logos or this, brands. So what does that mean? Okay, this particular thing sends a message to you. They stand for something. Right? They resume something which you write in a half day or chumma for the sake of it writing, right? Or copy from my friends and then modify a few things. Don't do that, right? So your resume is your brand. Consider you are going to sell yourself. Sell means selling your skills, right? There are few things that comes into picture, right? How are you going to differentiate yourself from others in the talent competition? There are roughly about you know roughly about 40 plus people are there in the group in the call now, right? You are all competing for the same job, and if you give me where 95% of your resume looks same, assuming that I'm going to recruit you people, or consider you yourself as a recruiter, you're going to consider the remaining 40 people in the group. How are you going to differentiate? Everybody tells I did engineering, I did this, and your resume, 95% of the resume looks same, right? How are you going to let the recruiter know that you are something special, right? Because everybody is selling the same item, and if you're also selling the same item, nobody's going to buy that. How to create an impression on somebody before even they see you? In fact, that's a spirit in which I asked the question: how much time the company person would spend in that particular, what you call shortlisting a resume? So 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, how do you make an impression on somebody, right? So that's what I mean. Your resume is your brand. So please take it very seriously. It's not time pass we are doing here. You need to spend quality time building it. Okay, don't rush it up just because for the sake of it, right? Okay. So resume building is like a, it's a long-term process. Whatever I showed you, because some of you told, sir, if I remove everything, what will be there in my resume, right? It's a long-time process, right? So we need to build it impressively, okay? And then we saw how the resumes get shortlisted, so that see, imagine if you go and talk to somebody who takes ad films, right? So 30-second ad, they probably spend months together to come up with a 30-second ad, right? So much of effort goes in the back end, right? And then it should reflect your uniqueness, mainly in terms of your skills and your projects. And what are the typical building blocks? You have a header, skill set, project. If you have any work experience, you can mention that, and any other parameters. These are all the building blocks of your resume, right? Now with this, let me show you the template, which I'll show you. You can feel free to modify that. It's not a patented template or something like that. So let me just show you our embedded students resume here, template. Okay. So Mahesh asked, will this session get uploaded? Yes, Mahesh, both yesterday's and today's I'll upload in the YouTube. Okay. So if you look at this template, right? This is an example template what we share it with our students and then ask them to fill. I'll share it with you guys also. Okay. So you mention your name, obviously. You can mention your phone number and email ID also. We discussed about career objective. So see, one of the important thing which I already also seen when people write resume is that the what do you call the template, or the format of the resume. I see people are messing up with formatting issues. Like people write in formatting issues in terms of font, in terms of font size. For example, first 5 lines will be Times New Roman font, second 5 lines will be Arial font, another one will be what you call Tahoma font, right? So if you look at our template, right, one of the key things that we've taken care is your template should look neat with proper spacing, proper font size, etc. Right? This is something. This is the reason why we recommend this particular template. Okay. Now coming to the technical skills, somebody asked me, right? Okay. So this is how the technical skills should be represented to the interviewer, not with writing Windows, Notepad and all, which I told you not to do, right? See, in our template, if you see, we say, what are all the programming languages you know, right? In that you mentioned, let us say, shell scripting, then you have advanced C programming, hoops using C++, data structures, right? You can mention it like this, programming languages. No, nothing like a basic, intermediate and all, right? Okay. And if you know, I tell my students, if you know something additional, sir, I know Python, can I put it? I would say if you're confident, you put it. That's a very simple answer to that, right? And when it comes to Linux, I think there was an interesting question that you put up, right? Okay. So if you talk about, at least as far as our Immersi, okay, there's a question from Mahesh. When will upload? So Mahesh will upload in our Immersi YouTube channel, and you will also get an email. All the participants will get an email with those links. Don't worry. Okay, it will reach you. In case we are having a network issue, you can look into it later. Okay. So there's a question. So if you look at Linux, right, in our course, if you look at, right, Linux, it, as I told, it's very vast. We teach Linux at 3 level, what you call, Linux systems. So which is like a level 1 Linux. Then you will say Linux system programming, or Linux internal, which is a level 2. and then we say embedded Linux. This is at level 3. Please note, Linux is not a simple thing as you imagine, right? There are roughly about 30 plus million lines of source code in there. It's so vast, right? So what I tell my students is whatever your, Linux systems are concerned, I tell my students put it here, your shell scripting or even for that matter, some programming environment perspective. Whatever they're learning in the second level, that is Linux system programming, right? Okay. This one, this level 2, whatever they're learning, they'll put it here. Linux kernel system calls, IPC mechanisms, network programming, pthread and all. This is what they learn in the level 2 or the Linux internal course, right? Then comes the embedded Linux, which is nothing but the third level which I mentioned, where you mentioned about U-boot, cross-compiling, porting Linux kernel, Linux bring upon MRZ ARM board or any other standard ARM board you can pick up, right? So that's the idea. So you can see very clearly bifurcated, no mention of Windows, Notepad, blah, 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 right? Okay. And similarly, when you talk about embedded controllers, right, there is a lot of questions about which board to use and all. I told you, you can use any board, but important thing is what did you learn using those boards, right? This is what you learn in terms of working with GPIOs, analog IOs, right? Memory usage, interfacing, character LCD, etc., peripherals, communication protocols, right? You can see you are bucketizing them under embedded controller. And then there is one more module which you teach, which is called Qt, which help you to build a lightweight and an efficient UI for embedded systems. So that comes under the Qt programming category, right? Then comes your platforms. Platforms include your IDEs, tools, right, or whatever the boards which are used, right? If you look at this, we use the Linux. We either use a Fedora or Ubuntu. Then you use a BeagleBone Black board, PIC board, right? Whichever board you work on. And then all the tools, other things which you learned here. Look at this now. You have mentioned like XCC, XC8 compiler, GCC compiler, etc. Okay, MPLab, Qt Creator, etc. Okay. So this is how you should be representing. And you just think for a minute now. Okay, if you are writing like this in your resume, it will definitely impress the interviewer. Okay, I'm not telling you should write like this. Any skill set like this, if you represent, you bifurcate and represent. This tells a lot about the yesterday what I showed about the skills, right? Okay, this is how it is represented. Okay. So Bharatwaj asked, sir, what should be the resume page limit from job perspective? For a fresher, Bharatwaj, I would recommend anything between 4 to 5 pages maximum. Okay. Even if you write, let us say 3 pages is also okay. Okay. 4 to 5 is the max. Don't go beyond that. Okay. So then comes the other part, which I mentioned about the coursework, right? You can mention the courses related to embedded systems. Then some of the personal attributes you can mention. Education. Look at this, right? Okay. So you have mentioned MTech, and then you say which year you started, which year you ended, and then which university, let us say VTU, 81%. Look at this. I clearly mentioned start year here and end year here. And here is a classic example where this person has completed engineering in 2015, but started MTech in 2017, which means to say what? Indirectly, you are telling the interviewer transparently that I had 2 years of gap. I guess I already mentioned about how to handle the year gap. Give me a minute. Similarly, your 10th standard, 12th standard and 10th standard. Okay. So this is the whole idea about how you represent your education. Okay. Hope it's clear. And I mentioned it as a full number here. If it is a decimal number, for example, 81.2, let us say 72.33, right? Or it could be, for example, 87.5, 80.03, something like this, right? Or 80.3. So you can mention it very clearly with a precise information about education. And coming to the contribution or achievement, look at these examples. So please note these examples are achieved by some of our students only. I just picked up and wrote here. Look at what this guy has done. He says, I'm chairman of IEEE Association for a college, right, during this year. Or I received an award for the, international project worth $1,500, right? Received the best outgoing student award, first place in paper presentation in this so and so college, right? And then I also worked, so I got an outstanding, employee award and things like that. Okay. So this is the idea I'm talking about. Okay. If you have something of this type, you can mention. Otherwise, you can leave it. Okay. Nothing significant. You can just leave it. Okay. Now, coming to the next section, let me move on. 1 second, there's a window which is hanging. All right, yeah. So personal attributes, as I told, call out your hobbies, ensure they're specific, not generic one. Don't write surfing web and reading books. We already discussed about this, how to write this, right? And certification in implant trainings. This is also, I told you, something significant. This also I would say not to mention if you're not worried. Okay, not something very significant. All right. Now comes to the most important sections of projects, right? There was a question about how to write a project. Look at this, right? We have this particular template. These are some of the projects which our students work as a part of the course. It can be any projects. Look at this, right? We ask them students to write like this. Projects are immersive. I'll come to the template. Look at this, like academic projects and work experience or internship projects, or even as I told you, you can add hobby projects or personal projects, right? Okay, you can add as many categories as you want. But the template remains same. Look at how we are telling, right? First of all, you're mentioning the project number so that you know you're representing good number of projects. Write the title of the projects or the project and give a 4 to 5 line of brief about what this project is all about. Okay. And what technologies you used in the project, right? For example, very specific, even if you are using an embedded C, they're very clear. I'm using file operations, pointers, bitwise operators, functions, make file, command line argument. You see here, very, very specific we are getting into. Indirectly, what are you telling? You are telling the interviewer that, you know what, I know all these things. Not by hiding or trying to escape, saying that, see basic, right? How we showed in our resume. Example, how not to mention. Here we clearly mentioned in order to implement this particular project, I use these type of technologies, right? Now, most important thing comes here is, right, when you talk about this project, sometimes this project can be a very big project, or sometimes the project can be a team project where 3 people, 4 people work together, or it can be an individual project where you have worked as a single person by looking into the website, what we just discussed, right? The most important part, I would say, this particular section. Okay, by working in that particular project, what are all the key challenges you faced? Because when you work in the project, I'm sure you will have a difficulty in understanding the project, or even when you are implementing, you might get stuck with certain areas, or your project is only giving a partial output, right? Or you really don't know how to debug a particular problem, etc. Whatever challenges that you have faced, right? Mention that. Again, indirectly, what are you telling to the interviewer? You're telling to the interviewer, you know what? I really did this project. Many of you, when I see in the resume, right, they write only one line because they want to hide it. Okay? Because you purchase the project, you really don't know how the project works, right? That's why you wanted to hide in the first, second page, first section. You mentioned like 2 lines, and then you will forget it, right? Okay. Here we are taking extremely the other approach, where I am mentioning what is the project is all about, what technologies are used, and then what challenges and learnings I had this particular project. Okay. And some of you asked about the confidence, right? By writing this itself, your interviewer will know, oh man, this guy has really done it. No, he is not tell something which is not real. Okay, so please use this particular template. Okay, and suppose there's a big project where 4 of you work, you mention only what you have done here. Okay, because some project, even if you go and work in companies, some project even have few hundreds of people working on it, right? Okay, you don't need to worry about that. You mention what you have done in the project. It's a very simple template, very, very effective. I'm telling you, this kind of representation has helped tons of people to get amazing jobs. Okay, and the more projects you have, as I told, right, you mentioned about 7 to 8 projects, and even if you do more, as well, some of our students have done 15 projects, and they came up with flying colors. Okay, all they did was work hard. They didn't bother about taking a certification from LinkedIn, posting in LinkedIn, connecting to a CEO of the company, all the drama. Real stuff when you build, right? And you can see, you can keep on mentioning the same template, hobby project, internship project, right? You can keep on experience. Or if you have a work experience, some of you have some previous work experience, you can mention what you've done that also. That way it becomes easy for the interviewer. And if you see here, there are 4 pages is what shown here. You can take it up to 5 projects, 5 pages. Okay, that should be good enough, right? And there are a couple of questions here. Hariharan is asking, can I write 90.08%? Right, Hariharan? I would say, I would recommend, go up to 2 decimals. Up to 2 decimals in your academic record, right? For example, 90.06, this is absolutely fine. Okay. And for example, don't say 89.9 as 90, which I already clarified. At the same time, don't write like this 90.11113333, right? We don't get into this. Okay, this is not okay. Okay. So mention up to 2 decimal what do you call accuracy, that should be good enough, right? Okay. And Vishnu says, sir, I've done projects on embedded boards, but I'm not much confident on answer to any complex questions. So can I mention it? So Vishnu, any simple theory I say, even when it comes to any skills for that matter, if you are confident, mention in the resume. Okay. If you are not confident, very simple, don't mention. Okay. But you can also do something. Suppose you're not confident, you can go and check why you are not confident. Maybe you did it long time back, you forgot it, or you have left it in the halfway, or you not spent enough time. Okay, you can even go, okay, don't mention, but still what you can do, okay, go back, spend good amount of time. So this is the issue. Yeah, that's why I got little this thing yesterday, because majority of you don't want to spend time. You just want to, asking me a situation where can I get a job today? Yes, I understand. You guys are desperate. Things are not been very comfortable so far, especially due to pandemic, right? Okay, but unless otherwise you spend quality amount of time, it's not going to happen. Okay, so spend good amount of time. When you spend good amount of time, do a refresh. Okay, go back and study. Then naturally your confidence will go. Once your confidence is go up, you will come to this category. Hope this is clear. Okay, go back. I'm sure if you're done, even for that matter, there's one more project question by Bharadwaj. Can incomplete project be mentioned in the resume? First of all, Bharadwaj, go back and check why it is incomplete. Okay, what does it take to make it complete? Then you can come back and mention. Okay, if you're not confident, don't mention anything for that matter. If you're confident, mention. Work on this, what you call if else condition. If you are confident, mention. If you're not confident, go back and ask why I am not confident. What does it take to make me confident? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that, and then you are reach a confident state. Come back and mention it. As simple as that. Okay. All right, sir. How can I write embedded systems coaching information? I think Lakshman, it's mentioned in the top itself. I think I forgot to mention that. Yeah. If you see here, students who are studying our course, we ask them to mention under work experience, even though it's not a strictly work experience, the emergency certification, the NSDC, what I mentioned, they mentioned this. And if somebody has done any work experience, 1 year, 2 year, they can also mention. Okay. Sir, can I mention currently doing projects? Yes, Nirmal, you can mention. You can just say in the project title, in the top you mention. Always I say mention the latest project in the top and the oldest one in the bottom. Maybe in here you can mention, okay, or you can say currently doing, something like this. Currently doing, and make it bold also. That's fine. Okay, is also fine. Okay. So that's about the what do you call the project representation. And if you see, just come down. There is absolutely nothing apart from this. You see, 95% of our resume filled with the skill set part of it, and then the project part of it. And I'm absolutely fine if we are not able to mention about personal attributes, contributions and achievements, implant training. If you remove all the sections, I'm fine. You mention, for example, this is very much mandatory. Objective is mandatory. Your certification and work experience is mandatory. If you have skill set is very much mandatory. Remove all these things. Academics mandatory, and then finally projects are very much mandatory, right? If you mention these 4 to 5 items, you are good enough. You don't need to bother about building a hobby or doing some NPTEL certifications. Okay, hope it's clear. Okay. So Anil Das asking, sir, soldering and repair related experience is good to mention. Yes, Anil, it's good to mention because that's anyways related to the embedded side. And if you're working for a startup, many companies, even a couple of days back, I was talking with a company. They are telling, right, if small troubleshooting happens, right, at a hardware level, you need to basically troubleshoot the hardware or do some soldering, etc. They in fact like it, and they basically such experience also comes in handy. Anything related to embedded, you can mention. Okay. Anything even not related to embedded also. I think there is a question about I developed a website. Can I mention? Okay, I said okay, fine. Okay. As long as you worked and you gained some significant learning from it, do it. Okay, that's it. So that's what is the template is. Anyways, we did the template walkthrough. So let me come to the last section, do's and don'ts, right? Okay, and then we'll go to the quiz. I have 2 slides left. Are we doing okay, guys? Are you getting the resume, how to build, what to do, what not to do? Can I get some responses? Okay, all right, thanks, Nirmal, Bhumika. Shall I proceed to the last 2 slides? Okay, thanks. Okay, so let me show the last 2 slides, which is nothing but the do's and don'ts. Okay, so what are the do's? Spend time in building it. As I already told, don't do it like a exam where the previous night you mug up and write a resume, and don't rush. Take time. It takes time to write whatever I shown you, a template of good resume. Project yourself properly, mainly by showcasing your skills and capabilities in projects. Bring out differentiation factors, right? I've given you a template. Over and above, you can apply your creativity, make it something big. As it will start a patented template, we'll share you. Okay, you feel free to modify that, add, modify, delete, whatever you want to do. My idea is to differentiate yourself, right? Okay. Highlight skills, project and contributions. I think we discussed at length about this particular point. Okay. Optimal size, 4 to 5 pages. Okay. Convey passion and interest for embedded domain. So why I was telling this particular thing as a good, for example, when Anil Das asked this question, sir, soldering and repair can be mentioned in the resume. I said yes, because it is indirectly conveying your passion and interest for embedded domain. Means you have put some hands on into the board repair and did something on your board. Okay. Neat formatting, I already told you, ensure that you maintain the same font size, font family. Don't jig up, mentioning 3 different fonts and making too big a font size, etc., or too small to read, etc. Okay. Call out continuity in case of issues. Be ready with the honest information, especially on your academic gap, or even some of you have worked and then after that you had a gap with respect to the work experience. Whatever may be honest. Don't need to cook up stories. People, tell some unwanted stories, etc. So don't get into that. Be honest. Okay. Be accurate with your data, like percentage or CGPA. We discussed up to 2 decimal accuracy you can mention. Okay. Invite the interviewer into your zone. As I told you, when you say in your project representation, when you clear cut, you're mentioning that, in embedded C, I use the pointers, I use the structures, I use bitwise operator. You are indirectly you are inviting the interviewer into your zone. He will ask you more questions there. If you really work there, you are, rather than, what do you call, avoiding the question, you are inviting. Okay? That means what? It shows your confidence and your capability. The probability of you getting selected is very high. Okay? Like yourself, right? Because the resume is about you. Okay, like yourself, because as I told you, right, consider yourself, you are a Maggie or a Tata or a Flipkart, right? Consider yourself as a brand. Then these things will come to you naturally. What are all the don'ts? Some of them we already discussed. Spelling mistakes, formatting errors, especially spelling mistakes. Especially, when I see resumes very frequently, right? When I see spelling mistake, I immediately reject, because this is very simple. Yeah, if you go to MS Word, it automatically gives you underlines in a red color and shows you the spelling mistake. If you can't fix a spelling mistake in your resume, how can I expect you to fix a technical problem tomorrow? It's as simple as that. Okay. And improper naming properties. Even when you're writing a resume name, suppose let us say your name is, let us say, Abhishek, right? Okay, I'll take an example of Abhishek. When you're naming your file, okay, your name should be something like Abhishek, okay, underscore resume dot doc. Okay. Or some of you, even if you want to send it in a PDF format, you can say Abhishek underscore profile dot PDF. So your name of the resume file also should look neat. Okay. I see some of them will send me resume, some file name like this, like latest dot doc. Okay. Look at this from there. What is it I can make out? Your resume file name. Okay. And then I'll say, some of you, I'll talk about this. Some of you even give your surname or your, what do you call, how they call in your name. For example, Chinku. Okay. Chinku underscore resume. Chinku, Pinku and all, maybe your father, mother call you, that's fine. Okay. So don't get into that when it comes to your professional resume. Okay. Maybe Abhishek's name is Chinku. I don't know Abhishek. Okay. Just for example, I'm saying. So you always represent your things like this. Okay. Abhishek. Okay. So mention a proper naming convention in your resume also, because this thing matter. Because students still end up, or even when you save it as a multiple versions, your Word will give you something like this. If you save it in MS Word. Okay. So these things and all are no. Please don't do this. Let your resume looks very neat. Okay. Yes. Or even if you want to name it like, or you can say Abhi underscore CV.pdf. This also, yes, no problem. Okay. So at the same time, if your name is long, okay, something like, ABCD, don't write it. Short form is also fine. Okay. So ensure you mention it properly. Okay. And then Trishali, she's asking, sir, how can I mention information about embedded system coaching? As I already showed you, Trishali, if you are taking your, for example, our student, that's the first one we show here. You see the template here. We mention the certification name, company's website, right? Everything we mention in the first section itself, because that's a highlight, right? When you come and do the course with us, the very fact that you are associated with a organization like Immerzi is a very important thing. Okay? That itself will build a good amount of trust. So that's why we mention our students to mention it in the first immediate, just after objective it is there. Okay. All right. So let me move on. Last few bullets. So cluttered information, as I told you, don't clutter. Use enough spacing in the template as we shown. Ambiguous mail IDs, phone numbers, hobbies. As I told, only one phone number, one email ID, and that should be a proper one. Okay. Calling out obvious things like MS Word and all, absolutely don't need to mention. Okay. Hiding important information like year of password, don't do that. We discussed at length. Fake experience project, strictly no. Okay. Please don't take shortcuts. Somebody will say, somebody put a fake experience and they got a job, etc. Don't take shortcut. It will come and bite you later. Okay. Copy paste from friend, colleague, not accepted. Keeping it outdated. See, as you're working on more projects, right, you need to keep it updated, right? That's very important. Don't, keep it outdated. Last one, making it too short or too long. As I told you, at least if you make it 3 pages, good. 4 to 5 is very good, but don't go beyond 5. Okay. Last but not the least, we discussed about that. Not able to justify each and every point in the resume. Okay. You write something, but the interviewer asks you that question, right? Then you're not able to justify. Naturally, you're putting you in a spot. So ensure that whatever points you mentioned in the resume, you're able to justify and give a correct answer. As I told, right? Apply that algorithm. If confident, write. If you're not confident, go and check why you're not confident. Build a confidence, come back and put in the resume. You can apply that simple, what you call, for loop or something. Okay. So I think fairly, that's what, guys. We'll move on to quiz. It's almost 1 p.m. Maybe your lunch time. Okay. So let me. Where is the? Yeah. So this is the quiz link. Let me put in the group also. So please take the quiz based on what we learned so far in the resume workshop. I'll keep it open for next 2 hours maybe, and then close it. And as I told you, by tomorrow, I'll wrap up all the materials, your video recording, the quiz results, and even the templates, everything we'll share, even the presentation, everything else, try to share it via. It will, anyways, your registered email ID, everything is with us. We will email you. And if you still have any questions, you can reach out to Smita, as I already told you, even not related to admission, even if you have some queries based on the workshop. So this is a coordinate. In case she's not able to clarify, she'll come back to me. I'll ensure that, whatever based on the workshop, whatever is also done. And by the way, I forgot to tell, we will also, we will be giving you, even though it's not something very fascinating for me, okay, for me, what you learn from this workshop is important. I look into your attendance log for the past 2 days. Kumar stayed, attended the whole workshop. We'll also giving you the certificates. Okay, we'll email you the soft copy of the certificates, and not the people who came on the first 5 minutes and left, right? There's no point. At least who stay till the long. I have a mechanism to dig out the attendance from the GoToMeeting. I will dig it out and then I will send you certificate also. That may take a little bit more time. Maybe next week, early next week, we'll send it out. Okay. So this is the thing. Hope it was helpful. Can you get some feedback? How was today's session? Does it give you a good idea about building resume? Can I hear from you guys? Okay, got some more details. Hariharan says, okay, yeah, Shashank, very much wrong, very useful. Thanks, Nirmal, Shashank, Abhishek. Okay. I'll stop the recording now. I will be available in the